Continental Tire Coach's Corner as we make way for the Duke head coach, Mike Krzyzewski. If this college coaching thing doesn't work out, he can always go into interviewing celebrities because he does do a show on Channel 84, Sirius XM, ESPNU Radio, Thursdays at 6 Eastern, weekly throughout college basketball season. Some of the guests this year have included Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brett Favre, Greg Popovich, Grant Hill, Bobby Flay, and yours truly. Kind of desperate to get somebody, weren't you, Coach?
No, we had a slow week, and everyone else canceled, and I appreciate you stepping in. It's one of those, it makes the weeks we have celebrities on
stand
that
out
much bigger. Yeah, thank you for doing that. It was like what you would want a really good bench player to do for your team.
Thank you.
You stepped in, and you filled a void, and you were good. You were good. Now, you plugged your university, your school, and all that.
Yeah.
It was kind of self-promoting, but still, it filled that space and time that we needed to fill. So I'm forever appreciative.
Okay, and I told people this, that we're taping this interview yesterday. There's a fire alarm going on in the background while you're doing the interview with me. Did you ever was there a fire going on where you were doing this interview?
You know what? Your topic of discussion was so hot.
I like it.
That it turned the fire alarm on. It's never happened in the show. And so I just wanted to continue the interview because the only way it would stop is, and it did stop when, we finished the interview and we went on. And so did you know that you can do that?
I have had that ability. People have said I was in fuego before, but I did not know. I was worried. I figured you had handlers who would just drag you out of the building when the fire alarm went off. So
well, they brought in the throne and the carriers, but I said, wait a minute, we can't leave yet. We can't leave. This guy's hot. He's finally hitting a shot. Let him continue to shoot. So. There was some unbelievable day yesterday. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun, and I appreciated the opportunity.
I enjoyed it.
Who's the one person that you just say that's the one I still want to get? I want to interview that person.
There isn't just one. I'd like to interview a few more people outside of sport, like leaders in business or government or in other aspects of society, and just because it's all about how you, one, if you're a leader, how you lead your team, and we talked a little bit about that with you, and but also how you got there, decisions you have to make along the way to continue your journey to do what you're doing, and I learned a lot of that when I started speaking in the early '90s for the Washington Speakers Bureau. You go to different companies and you speak and you say, "Holy mackerel, these people really do this well," or "Boy, that's an interesting way they phrase this certain thing, how they're analyzing that," and so that's one of the things I've loved about the show. I mean, I'd like to get even more people like that and on it, but we've had like the week before we had Greg Popovich on, and that was a great interview. It's not so much an interview; it's a conversation. It's kind of like when I do your show. Hopefully it's a really good conversation, but it's a conversation more so than being asked questions and being interviewed.
Yeah, and that's the point I try to make is I want you to talk to me instead of just answer questions. We had Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he started talking about some pretty heavy stuff. He just talked about being in therapy as a young child, watching his mom's house burn down, and then his mom has to give up custody of him and his sister to his dad. And, next thing you know, you're letting people eavesdrop, and that's what I always want. And I like that. And I appreciated Dale Jr. In fact, reached out to him after to say thank you for allowing us in, because you have to open up to allow somebody in to give the sort of that special access, and that's what's fun when you're able to kind of break down those walls, or you listen to somebody and Patrick Ewing is the prime example. Coach, when we've had Patrick on, I can't tell you the number of times when people go, I didn't realize he had a sense of humor. I didn't know that he was fun.
Right.
But you know, we saw him at Georgetown, and everybody thought that that's just who Patrick Ewing is, and he's not.
No, he's a great guy, and he does have a great laugh and an amazing sense of humor. No, I understand that very well, and that's what I've try to do. And obviously, you guys are masters at it. You do it every day for 3 hours, and I do it for 1 hour. A week, 26 or 27 times a year. But I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and I've done that show for 13 years. The coaches, I think they still have this. Coaches would have like call-in shows,
Yeah.
And when I first started at Duke, we had one, and I'd go every Sunday night to some studio, and Jim from Fuquay and Sam from Apex would call. And after doing it for a while, nothing against them, but I was driving home one day, and I said, look, on Sunday night, I don't want to talk to Jim and Sam. I want to be with my family. And so I stopped doing the show. And and my wife said, we could make some money. I said, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't want to do. So this thing came up, and it's totally different. So we had, Dan from Connecticut. On yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was or from Zanesville, Ohio.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're from. Right?
I was born in Zanesville, Ohio.
Zanesville. See?
Yeah. You did some research there, Coach.
I did. I stopped right there.
Oh, okay. Or somebody did some research for you. We're talking to Coach K, the Continental Tire Coach's Corner. Got a good handle on your team?
We're getting it. I don't think we'll. Yes, a better handle than we did before we played 9 games in 20 days, and which we just finished. I like my group a lot, and in that they have a real will to win, and they're not afraid of moments. They're not afraid of pressure moments. They've responded really well to end of game, last 4 minutes of games or overtime, really well. And now, do we have slippage? I'm not saying it's even slippage means we were real good and then we slipped. Are we really good in everything? No, but we want to be good, and when we get practice time, if we stay healthy, I think we'll get better. And but they're really an amazing, good group of kids.
Have you ever had a good loss, Coach?
Yeah, what I would say this is it's up to you to make the most of a win or loss, because it's your next play. So when you do have a loss, it's an opportunity, if you have the right attitude and the belief and then the preparation of, making whatever changes needed to be made, that would, you take advantage of that. And sometimes it's a loss at the end of a season that motivates you to make some changes so that the next season you're better. And I always look at it as we're on a continuum in our program, and it never ends. It just never ends. But it's up to you as a leader to take advantage of a win or a loss. And, what we're trying to do right now is move on, after winning our first 9 games and being in some hellacious situations, in big-time games.
Yeah.
And where these guys, we met this morning before they went to class, and one of the things I told them, I said, you will want to play, but as the season moves along, you have got to want to prepare to play. And that's what a lot of teams, a lot of people don't. They get tired of the preparation to play, to win. And I said, so we're in this next segment of the season right now. Can we continue to, make that a good habit of preparation and not just, the willingness or the excitement to play?
Who does Marvin Bagley remind you of?
Boy, he doesn't. He reminds me of a great player.
Are you surprised how good he is?
Yeah, I am, because you don't know a kid until you coach him, and then not just in practice but in games. And I knew obviously he's a great kid, great family, really unbelievable talent. But what I didn't realize is just what an amazing worker he was. I mean, he really wants to be good, and he wants to be special, and he's willing to pay the price. He has what we call, a motor. He has a great motor. He wants to learn. He hangs on your words. He's an incredible listener and asks questions and puts in the time, and is a great teammate. Really, he has no demons at all. He's going to be one of the players, I think, of his era. He's going to be a select one of those guys.
But does it bother you that you only get him for 4 more months?
Actually, I wish we had a system in where he didn't even have to make this stop. Although I think he's learning a lot from this stop.
Yeah.
But he could be a pro player now. I'm not saying he's going to be the great pro player now, but Marvin can play in the NBA, right now, and he'd be good. Now what he's learned here, I think, has helped him, and he'll be better prepared. But can he play in the NBA right now? Absolutely. And there are kids like that could come right out of high school and be in the NBA, and that's why I hope we can get rid of the one and done thing, so that these kids have the opportunities to make decisions that is best for them and their families. And if going to college is that decision, then that's good. But then it's their decision; it's not forced upon them. And I'm glad I have the opportunity of being with him. It makes me a better coach. It's very exciting to coach him.
We did some research. Do you know how many people in America are named Mike Krzyzewski?
One, I think.
No,
yeah, but there's probably more.
We found 6.
6. Are they coaching in any other place, or?
I think you're the most successful coach out of the other Mike Krzyzewskis, but we're Paulie, would you check on that?
We're looking, Dan.
Okay, yeah, but we believe you're the most successful coach out of all the Mike Krzyzewskis in America.
See?
Did a little research.
Be done. And
did a little research.
Well, first of all, I wonder how many Krzyzewskis there are out there. There aren't many of us. A lot of us change our names. Like my dad, because of a lot of discrimination and that, he never went by Krzyzewski. He went by the name of Cross, Kross. Even in the military in World War II, he was William Cross.
Really?
And yeah, a lot of the Stanislavskis in the world are Stanleys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
Did you think about changing your name?
No, never, ever. And but when I was in grade school, I went to a Polish Catholic grade school, and if you wanted to, you could take Polish, and my parents didn't want me to, or my brother, and part of it, again, was this discrimination. They didn't want me to have an accent, because at that time, when my grandparents migrated from Poland, there was a lot of stuff going on, and where if you had an accent or you had a vowel at the end of your name, something wasn't going to happen for you. And I didn't realize that till I became an adult. That those were the reasons that my dad went by Cross, and why we didn't.
Do you speak Polish?
I do not. I wish I did. And however, my parents used to use that as a weapon, because when they didn't want us to know anything, they would speak Polish. And I said, "What the hell are they talking about? They're talking about you." I mean, that's how I went to West Point. I turned West Point down, and my parents kept talking in the kitchen in Polish, and they would talk in Polish, and all of a sudden they use a couple English words like stupid, Mike. And I said, "What do you mean?" I said, you should go to West Point. That's where presidents go. That's where, for a Polish kid from Chicago.
Big.
So I went to West Point. It was never my decision, but I trusted my parents enough, and I didn't want to disappoint them. And it was the best decision I never made. I never made that decision. It's crazy, some of the things that just happen to you along the way that are fortuitous. Like if my parents did not, believe in me and believe in education and believe that they wanted something better than what they had for their sons. There's no way I'd be doing what I'm doing today if I didn't go to West Point. No way. There's absolutely no way. And, that's why sometimes when kids are making decisions at 17 and parents say, well, it's Jimmy's decision or Mary's decision, I say, yeah, well, give them some input.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with a little guidance there.
Guidance is a good thing. And theirs was a little bit more ethnically forced guidance.
Hey, Coach, thank you again, as always. Had fun yesterday. Glad you could join us, and good luck. We'll talk to you during the season.
Thanks. And if we ever need we don't get a celebrity, you're on my speed dial.
Absolutely. Okay? I'm John Shire.
Thank you, man.
I'm there for you. Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks.
That's Coach K, Continental Tire Coaches Corner.